Hey everybody, I'm just going to give you a few seconds. I'm just getting started. I'm talking a little today about job search. Yay! We're always talking about job search. Um, just give me a second to get started. I want to make sure that this is broadcasting all the places it needs to broadcast and that everybody gets an opportunity to see it. So, sweethearts, all right. So it's time to do the holiday hustle. What does that mean? I know you're sitting there going, what's the holiday hustle? And I'm not just talking about jobs that you can get during the holiday season. I'm talking about using the holiday season to look for work. So you're probably wondering, like, no, the only people hiring right now are like the malls, and probably the only people hiring right now are the shops and stores for Christmas. That is not true, guys. There are over 1 million new jobs that were posted just last week, full-time jobs posted just last week on LinkedIn. Just last week, which means, and today I think it was about 400,000 that were posted, or 40,000, something like that, were just posted today. And the reason I'm here to talk to you about that today is really to talk to you about getting your branding together and starting that off with your resume. So you're probably wondering, why would I want to write my resume right now? It's Thanksgiving. Nobody's hiring. I'm not going to get a new job until the new year. Okay, so squash all those thoughts, because job seeking, it can take a day, it could take a week, it could take a month, it could take 6 months. It really depends on a few different factors, right? So one factor is obviously yourself. And if you are a job seeker, your mindset has to be in the mode of job seeking. Sometimes you have to practice a few times what you're going to say. You get a buddy, you get a friend, you get a career coach. Getting somebody to speak and help you with your job search is going to be one of the most important things. Now, when it comes to your resume, there's definitely some key elements that have to be on there. So the sections that I'm going to go over today are obviously your name, your objective or summary statement. It'll be different depending on where you are in your career. Even if you are entry level, having a summary statement is actually going to be very helpful for you. Then you want to talk about your we're going to talk about skills, and we're going to talk about hard skills and soft skills. So we'll be talking about that. We'll also be discussing work experience and how does that play into everything, your education, any associations and organizations you're in, and your volunteer experience. So let's go ahead and get started. So of course, with every resume, the first thing anybody wants to see is your name. However, can you please keep in mind, your name doesn't need to be ginormous, okay? Anywhere between maybe 18 font, 26 font. I mean, it should look like a header, but it doesn't need to look like the whole page. So make sure that your resume with your name is quite small, in comparison to like the page, but big enough for people to see it. Now, the other parts of your resume that you want to have is your contact information. Notice I didn't say address. If you're starting to notice, there's a lot of theft out there, and there's a lot of identity theft. There's a lot of people out there with bad intentions, that if they got a hold of your full information, they may try to misrepresent themselves as you. So you definitely want to make sure that you be very general about your address. You can put your city and state. You can put your regional area. whatever works. And for anybody, especially if you're in a outside suburban area, you want to try to use the major city that would be the easiest for you to commute to as a target for people who are looking for you. And then when they see that, like I live in Atlanta, there's parts of Atlanta that are close, like Jonesboro. There's a place called Jonesboro. Jonesboro is about a half an hour south of the southern border of Atlanta, Atlanta proper, the city. And people who live in Jonesboro might be willing to commute to Atlanta. So instead of writing Jonesboro, they may want to write Atlanta, Georgia, or greater Atlanta area. So the same thing goes if you are within an hour of a major city, you may want to just write that major city down in your resume. You can also write your city. You can put more than one location, because we're talking about the physical resume, not your job. We're not really talking about your like job application. The resume is more of a marketing document. It's to give out, to share with people, to let people know you're job seeking. Then you want to have objective or executive summary. So with your objective statement, if you're pretty new to the market and you're looking to apply your skills, if you're looking to use your coursework that you had in high school or college for your first job, then go ahead and use an objective. However, if you've been in the job market for 5 years, you need to have some experience on the board. One thing I don't ever want to see with somebody who has 5 years of experience is looking for a company that will help me expand and grow. No. If you've been doing your job for 5 years, you're looking to help and expand and grow a company, right? And you want to show them how. You want to list how you're really good at things. You want to list what you've done for people. Did you automate a system? Did you create a new system? Did you help them with advertising? Did you help the company save money? And I will tell you, whether you did it alone or with a team, you definitely have done something, right? So even if you worked at McDonald's for the past 5 years, you have helped that McDonald's make probably $30,000 a month, right? You're part of a team that made $30,000 a month. Look at your nightly receipts. How much money did we make today? And just start adding it up and asking your managers and asking people that have that information, what's our numbers look like? So you can always add that in. And going along with that, I would like to talk to you a little about that summary and your skill set. So what people are going to see is your name. They're going to see your objective or your summary, depending on where you are. They'll see your skills. So your skills will be your soft skills, your people skills, your organizational skills, your detail-oriented skills. Those are skills that some people have really great communication skills. Some people have really good teamwork skills or team building skills. That's your skills section. Now, for those of you that have a separate section for technical skills, I always suggest a separate section for technical skills. That way you can list all the technology you know without overwhelming the reader. So you can either keep that at the top, you can put it on the bottom, mix it up a little so it's not jumbled, and so you don't have all these skills all in one place where somebody's like, it's too much. I don't want to see all that. So you want to talk about your technical skills separately from your interpersonal or soft skills, okay? Then you want to talk about your work experience. Now, obviously, that's the bulk of the resume. Work experience is going to be so important for you because that's what you've done, and the employer is going to see what is your track record, what kind of work do you know how to do. Now, here's the key thing. Let's say you don't like the work you used to do. You hated it. Okay, pick a few things that you did like and focus on them. Why? Because if you focus on things that you didn't like, you know what you're going to get? More things you don't like. You're going to keep wondering why do I keep getting this horrible job that I hate instead of why do I get the job that I love? Because you tell people about everything, and employers are like anybody else. They are on a need to know basis, and frankly, if you don't want to do that kind of work anymore, they don't need to know that you did it. Okay? You got me right here. So you also want to come in with associations and organizations. If you're part of a college group or an alumni association or a women's association or junior league or anything like that, you want to be sure that you put those skills, those associations in there, because somebody reading your resume might see that association and then they might say, oh, I'm a member of that association. I would love to have her. Or if they're looking for diversity candidates, they might say, oh, this person's part of this association for South Asians. Maybe we should interview them because they might be a really good diversity candidate. You never really know what your association, what the associations and organizations can do for you, but I would definitely say put them on. And then your volunteer experience. Particularly if you have been out of work for a while, let's say you're a stay-at-home mom, if you are somebody who's just out of college or you're in college now, highlighting that volunteer experience. And in some cases, you may even want to put that in your work experience, depending on what you did and how much of it you did. I've had volunteers that have completely revamped organizations, saving them $30,000. And, I would definitely say you may want to put that in your work experience versus, separate experience. So your volunteer experience, you can expand it to a level where you can really be detailed, or you can contract it and then just put the name of the organization. Say, you do something with the Goodwill, you can maybe just write Goodwill. You can write, if you go and feed the homeless, you can say feed the homeless. Now, if you're feeding the homeless and you were able to get 50 volunteers for a project and you got $10,000 worth of food and you had no job at the time and that's what you did, I want to see you put that in your work experience, because that's something people can say that was practically a job. They may not have gotten paid for it, but that's a pretty big job to make that kind of money and coordinate that kind of thing for somebody, right? So something like that. And then finally, I know people ask about hobbies. Use your discretion on hobbies. I'm not going to say yes or no to hobbies because, like I said, your resume is really just a snapshot of you, and it really depends on how important your hobby is to you. If your especially if your hobby has something to do with work, like if your hobby is I'm a Toastmaster and I like to do public speaking, then that's a really cool hobby to write. If your hobby is, I like to watch TV, maybe not so much, right? So really use discretion if you do decide to use hobbies. I've never really, I've heard different things about hobbies. Some people think they're great. Other people are like, no, don't use hobbies at all. I would just say use your discretion. And you can take it in, you can put it in or take it out depending on who you're sending it to. Like if a company has a culture of helping people with their hobbies or supporting hobbies, you might want to put it in. If the company you're applying to does not have that culture and they're like, we just want you to do the work, take it out. Use your discretion, and keep in mind, like, always put your resume in an editable format, whether that's Microsoft Word, whether that's Pages, whether that's Google Docs. Make sure that you at least have one copy that's editable, because if you can edit your resume, you can always switch up these sections as appropriate and you don't have to keep them all. So thank you guys so much for watching. This is Chantel from Sweet Job Spot. And like I said, it is definitely time to do the holiday hustle, because there are over 1 million jobs, full-time jobs, posted on LinkedIn last week, and LinkedIn is one of the premier places for job seekers. So tune in for the next episode, and we'll see you again soon. If you have any questions or you want to get a resume review, you can always visit me at, my link is here on Calendly, Sweet Job Spot. Otherwise, you can just go to my website, sweetjobspot.com. Or you can ask your questions down here, and I can definitely answer them for you after I get off of this podcast. If you're watching the replay, go ahead and hashtag replay and follow Sweet Job Spot. We're everywhere. Have a good day. Bye-bye.